Hello Ninbus viewers, it is I, RedPandaGamer, here for another Nintendo review. Today's review will be covering the new 3DS Virtual Console release, Kirby's Dreamland, which originally came out for the Game Boy on August 1st, 1992, and the 3DS Virtual Console on June 30th. Kirby's Dreamland, the debut of Kirby, was developed by HAL Laboratory and published by Nintendo. It was designed by Masahiro Sakurai. Kirby was a dummy character that the developers used until they could define a more sophisticated image. The designers grew to like Kirby so much, they decided to keep him instead of using a more advanced character. He was originally named Popopo, and Kirby's Dreamland was titled Twinkle Popo. Eventually he was renamed Kirby after the Kirby brand of vacuum cleaners, and the game was renamed Hoshi no Kirby, literally Kirby the Stars. Originally, Kirby's color was debated upon. Masahiro Sakurai wanted him to be pink, like he is today, and Shigeru Miyamoto wanted him to be yellow. Eventually, Nintendo decided to make him pink. Although pink is still Kirby's main color, later games have shown Kirby in a wide variety of colors, including yellow, to make Miyamoto happy, I'm sure. The design behind Kirby's Dreamland is very unique and hasn't really been replicated by any other game by anyone, even Nintendo. They definitely go for the more cutesy way. I mean, obviously they're trying to look towards younger gamers, so they keep with the cute theme. The thing that Nintendo did best for the graphics of this game was layering. They do a very good job of putting as many layers in as possible. I mean, you'll have levels where you could have up to 5 layers between the enemies and then the floor and pillars and background and just everything. Layering really was the key behind, in my opinion, amazing graphics for just the Game Boy. All the textures look really nice also. They don't skimp out on any of the details, and it's almost hard to believe this is a Game Boy game and was a really early Game Boy game. So I'd say they easily achieved what they were going for. This game looks really nice. And let's not forget about the music, composed only by Jun Ishikawa. He was the only composer for this game and has been composing for the Kirby series since the beginning. The music, to say the least, is phenomenal. I love it. The story behind Kirby's Dreamland is very simple, which you would expect from a Game Boy game. The gluttonous King Dedede has stolen all of the food from its inhabitants of Dreamland for a midnight feast. So Kirby, a resident of Dreamland, goes to retrieve the food and stop Dedede. And that's really it. He goes through 5 different worlds, including the final boss battle, fights a mini-boss in each level, and then a final boss in every level. And then, in the end, sorry to spoil it, in the end, he finds Dedede, destroys him, and steals the food and brings it back to everyone. And the coolest thing about this game is after you beat it, you actually have access to a second game, which includes harder enemies and less health. Surprisingly enough, Kirby's Dreamland was one of the best Game Boy selling games. It has sold over 1.3 million copies as of May 28, 1995. And to this date, it has sold 5 million copies worldwide. It is the 4th biggest Game Boy release, only behind the Pokemon games and Mario. Sakahiro intended for Kirby's Dreamland to be a simple game that could be played by beginning gamers. Although at times, Kirby's Dreamland can be a little difficult. Kirby's Dreamland was very similar to most platformers that were out in the 90s. Very simple enemies, but a wide variety of enemies. Although Kirby is without his patented copy ability, he does have a few weapons. Not only can he suck in air and blow it out at enemies, or suck in enemies and shoot them out at other enemies, he also finds a few items throughout the game. One item will allow him to fly forever and be able to shoot never-ending puffs of air, which actually makes the game seem like a shoot-'em-up. Also, there's an item that you can, it's actually more like an ability. You can shoot fire out of your mouth whether you're flying or walking. That is used a couple of times. And of course, a weapon that's remained forever is the microphone that you use and kills every single enemy in the area. So although they were without the copy, they still gave you abilities. And for some people it can be difficult to go back and play a game that doesn't allow you to do the copy ability, because let's face it, one of our favorite parts of Kirby is being able to have thousands of abilities. But it's still, it just goes back to its roots of a simple platformer, because that's all Kirby really is. It's a platformer with tons of abilities. I mean, it's a really simple game. The thing that just set it most apart was later when they would give abilities in Kirby's Adventure. Now, as much as I personally love this game, I don't feel right giving it a super high score, and by super high score I mean a perfect 10 out of 10. I honestly think that they did something amazing with this game, and if it weren't for how good this game was, I don't believe that Kirby would have been as successful as it is today. I think that the biggest issue they had with this was their intent. They intended on making this for beginning gamers, people who aren't, very well versed in the ways of gaming. And what they ended up with was a great platforming experience that had a lot of difficulty to it. I mean, I myself died several times in my playthrough of the game, so for a younger child, this game could be pretty difficult. So for that reason alone, I feel like I can't give it much of a higher score because of what it was intended to be. But for what it ended up becoming, I feel like I can appropriately give it an 8 out of 10. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm RedPandaGamer. Please subscribe to Ninbuzz, and let me know what review you guys would like to see next. Thanks for watching. Comment, like, subscribe, do whatever you gotta do to show your love. I'm RedPandaGamer. See you guys.